Good Monday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks, the SUVs, the motorcycles, the camper, the trips, the dogs. Wow, what a beautiful Monday morning. I tell you what, the weather up here is still actually really nice. Just unbelievable how we're into the, second week, going into the third week of November. And for the most part, we've had very decent weather, not really cold, not really warm, so just kind of been a mild fall so far. Does that change? I think it is going to change a little bit here, but hey, good Monday morning there to all that subscribe to the channel and watch the guy talk and gab away on yet another day as we advance to the barn, the ice cave, the ice compound with all the trucks and cars still on the property, on my adventures of life, of having too many addictions that attain to vehicles, which in the end you usually pay dearly for those addictions that you have in life, whatever it may be. So what are you doing today? What are you doing today? Here's this vehicle here. That these electric vehicles are very challenging. As you know, the F-150 Lightning truck is bricked again, but I got a ton of gear in it. Got to get that all unloaded. Got to call Ford warranty side, tell them I got to go get a truck again, and then that'll probably sit in the shop for a month or so. And then does it get lemoned? Yeah. Is that ever easy? Not necessarily, but I don't know. It's a lot of money on Ford's behalf. Do they want to risk? Do they want to risk the unknown of spending another 30, 40 grand? And they'll probably say, well, we'll just give you a different vehicle. I'd be like, you may want to reconsider that, but we'll talk about that. Do you really know who I am? Yeah. So, all right, here we are. The adventures of Florida are on the doorstep, which I finally think I can get out of here, even though it is the busiest time of my year to kind of leave. But I really do need to get to Florida, see the family, and I'm working on that. And Scout just disappeared in the back 40, so I don't know what he's doing. He's probably rolling around in deer poop and pee and everything else. But if you watch my channel, you'll see I spent the afternoon yesterday starting to put together the I'm going to say the GMC, the Chevy Bison Heavy Duty. And you probably saw how I finally relocated the electric. I'm so stupid. I can't believe how dumb I am. Because Ford, if you look here, this thing is upside down. It's unbelievable. And Ford made me put it upside down. You know why? So Ford, if you look at their plug, the way their plug is, that's what I should have done right there. So technically, that should be the opposite way around. And the only reason I get fixated on the way that is set up is because of how I had it set up over here and how the whole thing dropped down. So I don't know. It's confusing. Even for me, it's like, why the hell didn't I figure out that the plug should be up here and this unit should be down here? It just doesn't end. I mean, if I forget it. Who cares? Whatever. It's never easy. So, but the thing is, the Chevy thing is in some ways reversed, or is it? I don't know. There's good old Kiefer boy who we miss dearly, which just incredible, the things that go on. You know, and the thing is, and it's hard because when you travel a lot like I do, the main reason Kiefer died in my book is because we weren't on top of his shots. And it was very challenging when we first got him because we were bouncing around from Tennessee to Florida to Virginia, and get out there, and we didn't have a handle on the shots. And so to try to be with my mother and father and family in Florida, I have sacrificed a lot of time. And this is not criticism by any means to my family, but whether you realize or not, I have spent so much time in Florida, months. So much time in Florida. I mean, I've spent a lot of time down there. I literally sacrificed building my business bigger than what it is because I wasn't here. And what people don't know is that in 2017, I had a guy named Joe that had been working for me at that time for 6 years, that I finally had the confidence to feel that I could leave my property in business. But it's very challenging. Because, you realize it or not, in my life of my travels and working, when I got out of high school in 1982, I never, ever stopped working. I never had the luxury of just stopping working. I'm sure some people have this frickin' weird idea that my parents gave me money and it was just all good. No, that's not factual by any means. I've had to work for everything I own, and I've had to take the hits for making mistakes financially, for me overextending myself for what I can't earn to pay for, and then they go back and bankruptcy and repossessions. This goes on and on and on and on. And so for me, from 82 until 2017, I never ever took the time, because my whole family left basically back in 1990, 91. They all moved to Florida. My brother went to Georgia, and then he moved to Florida eventually. But my whole family was to Florida. And so in all those years, I didn't spend time in Florida with my family because I didn't have time. Because I was running a business and I was having to work. But I was working, then involved in owning my own business eventually. But then I never felt good leaving the business. I just couldn't detach myself. And it wasn't until 2017 I finally was able to detach myself from living on this piece of property and really not going anywhere. Sure, did we go to Thanksgiving? Of course we did. Did we go to Christmas? Of course we did. But these were basically 7-day, 2 days of driving, 1 day down, 1 day back, and then be down there for 4 or 5 days and back home. And Julia's in school, so I didn't have the luxury of really being away because I had a daughter to take care of and a lot of things to take care of. But in 2017, I really got more on the page to spend more time with my family in Florida, and that's what I did. I did spend a lot of time with them in 2017, and then in 2018, Julia was still in school, so I still had to manage us going and getting away, but we spent months and months down there in Florida, and then in 18, same thing. And actually, we babysat my brother and dad in the summer 2018 from knee surgery to eye surgery. I just bought a boat in the summer 2017. Didn't even get a chance to even use it in 2018 because my brother and dad weren't in good shape, but we used it but barely. 2019, same thing. I spent a lot of time. 2020, the pandemic came in, totally destroyed the capability to go to Florida. Ruined it. So it wasn't until February 2021, that we got back down there. And then but during the 2020 year, my industry got destroyed. My income went to half. You couldn't be out making sales calls to try to build your business because people were scared as hell they're going to die if you talk to them. So the whole industry just shuttered down like everything else. Meanwhile, if you owned a pizza restaurant or owned a takeout Chinese restaurant, you made more money than you ever made in your whole lifetime because everybody's sitting at home just eating all day long. You know, wonder why the country got even more obese after the pandemic. What's Pfizer's next drug? Yeah, the pawn. So my conversations this morning is going to be called the pawn conversation. I'm going to work up to that. But once again, I'm just going back to Kiefer. So in 2021, we now had Julia was out of school remotely schooling. So that opened the door huge. So we spent like half the year down there in Florida. Yes, we did. It was awesome because at that point I had Joe working for me and he came back to my company, and then the business was still slow, so I could just really disappear. So, and then 2022 came around, and once again, we spent a lot of time, but then Joe left me, which then that put a whole crook. That put a whole more challenging of me leaving town. So, and then my good friend Bob Fern got cancer. It was just one thing after another. But what I'm trying to resonate back to you as a person is I sacrificed a lot of my time to be away from my company and property to take care of my family and to be with my family. But once again, I'm not here to be critical of my family or anything. I'm just trying to lead up to what happened to Kiefer in my eyes. So you go to 2023, and we're going to Tennessee, and we're going to Florida, and now Kiefer is in his initial stages of getting shots, and it gets screwed up because from us getting his shots here locally which makes no sense to me why we didn't. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense of where he started off, why he wouldn't have the lepto vaccine. And so then now we go to Florida and we give Kiefer to Amanda, and the 2-week stay, turns into close to a month stay in Florida. Well, now Kiefer is due for his next round of shots. And so Amanda, we're now having to think, do we come back home to take care of Kiefer? Do we stay with my parents to spend as much time as they can as they're older in life and take advantage of every day we can to be with my family and mother especially? So I make the decision we're going to stay longer. Well, meanwhile, Amanda now has to take Kiefer to get shots, but they don't really know what shots he got or didn't got, which that makes no sense to me. But this is more about my daughter, my wife, Amanda. I'm just not in the middle of it. They're figuring everything out. But obviously they didn't. And the veterinarian didn't either. And so then some people are anti-shots and like, no, don't give the dog that. Don't give the dog that. I don't know. So for me, doing my research, I come to find out that for us traveling, that put a hook in Kiefer's getting the correct shots. I guess you could say that, maybe not. I don't know. But it's just so disappointing that for me as a person, we lost Kiefer to lepto because of me just having to try to take care of my family. And it takes a lot out of you. It really does. And so the only reason I'm bringing this up is because Kiefer is so dearly missed. It's just so bad. For me, he was such the entertainment and fun of my life. I mean, it just, it is what it is. So moving on from that point, the only reason I'm talking about it is because I just think to myself on how, had I not been traveling, and we were just at home, we were at home all the time, it's a different ballgame. When you start traveling, you just lose track of time and things to do. And for me, what's classic, every time I leave town, I get a phone call and I lose some business. I mean, it's just like the cloud gets over you. You try to escape, you can't escape. I mean, this crap here, you just can't escape from the routines and blah, blah, blah. And so, but that's life. That's what. How do you deal with the challenges that come to you and your plate? How do you deal with them? And that's a huge challenge for a lot of people. That's why we have so many problems in society of anger, violence. If you don't do, I was telling Julia, I've been telling Julian and others I know, when you don't do something for me, then I'm going to punish you. That's how mankind operates. You pissed me off. So you know what? You pissed me off. So now I'm going to do something to you. I mean, it's just so bad. It's like, really? That's how you operate? Oh, you don't, and so that's the point of my conversation this morning. The Pawn Stars, good Lord, look at that guy in Las Vegas, what that family made off of the Discovery Channel from opening the doors up to showing people how people bring things to pawn things because they want to cash out of things. Maybe it's because they're in dire straits for money. Maybe it's just something they don't want anymore. Maybe it's the market's good for something they have. Who knows? It's infinite on why people bring things to pawn, but it's always about the cash factor. So I was thinking to myself, boy, oh boy, could we say that we just were pawned? This sitting administration just pawned us the most we've ever seen in our lifetime. And others will argue with that if you're more liberal-minded, Democratic-minded, and that's fine. I don't have all the answers. That's my opinion, my point of view. You can have your opinion, point of view too. But what I'm talking about is in the vehicle transportation department that, the industry has been pawned. And if you look at the definition, pawn, which I have it right here on my phone, if I can get it opened up, and all that other stuff, which that's not easy, doing a YouTube channel, trying to do all this stuff at the same time. But I got it right here. So, okay, so here it is. Pawn, someone who's used or manipulated to further another person's purposes. What the hell? So I have no idea what that phone call is. So somebody's calling. It's probably about my mother-in-law has an animal in her bedroom. That's a whole other story. It doesn't end. My mother-in-law feeds all the raccoons out of her house down there. And I think a raccoon now is living inside her house. So she's got a serious problem. The raccoon is destroying bedrooms in her house. She's had to lock down a bedroom. They don't know what's in there, but she needs somebody that's an expert pest remover, varmint remover to come to her house. And I guarantee that Johnson City, Tennessee phone number was just that. I was calling around to different pest companies yesterday to see who could go to her house and get an animal out of the bedroom that's now locked down. The bedroom I used to sleep in is now is a squirrel, a raccoon. It's probably a raccoon. Because she's adamantly feeds all the raccoons down there, and they come in. I mean, you'll see 3, 4, 5 of them hanging out down there where I keep my motorcycles, all eating at nighttime because she feeds them. So she brings in the whole raccoon pack to her house. So probably one of them got in the house and went upstairs, and now they're having a field day at her expense, unfortunately. So if you don't know how to handle that situation, you better get somebody that knows how to handle that situation. If you've ever had a raccoon, I had one. Those things can be aggressive as hell and tear you up. So back to the pawn conversations. Yeah, we've been pawned because the green agenda in so many ways, it's a pawn upon the transportation industry more than ever in our lifetime, because they're using the vehicles to advance the green agenda at the fastest pace possible ever in modern times. And don't get me wrong, I'm not here. I know somebody on the other side of the equation being more middle or whatever. I'm just using the example of the Inflation Reduction Act under Joe Biden that has really, at the most sitting president or modern times in our country, this side compared to Europe and other parts of the world, are using the automotive industry as the pawn to advance green agenda ideology, because they're putting such stringent guidelines on what these manufacturers can have coming out of the tailpipe of these vehicles for the CO2 emissions. And whether we realize it or not, in 2026, the average fleet model of any automotive manufacturer selling cars in this country has to have 48 miles per gallon. Did you just hear that? By 2026, all of the big brand manufacturers, maybe selling a car in this industry, to be in the guidelines that were put upon us with the city administration of Joe Biden, is 48 miles per gallon average. Wow. That's only one more model year. I mean, you have to have cars. 2025 is on our doorstep. You already have to be on the page by next summer. You're going to be rolling out 2026 cars. Do you really think that General Motors and Ford and Stellantis, Dodge, Ram have a 48 mile per gallon average fleet right now? And so if they don't, they get then penalized. So the green agenda and Mr. Joe Biden, the Inflation Reduction Act, which that's the biggest pawn in the world, that he creates a green agenda movement called the Inflation Reduction Act, which, has anybody here seen an Inflation Reduction Act on the automotive industry? I haven't. I've seen how you spend a lot of money for a car and then you take the huge hit on the value of the car. I've seen that, but I haven't seen we go to the dealership and they're just giving away cars and so the Jeep that used to be 74 grand, that's Stellantis now makes it 94 grand, and then they take 10 grand off, you got the deal. No, you didn't. You should be paying 64 grand. The 10 grand off should be off 7. So it's so stupid if you fall into the gig. Well, they're discounting cars now. Well, because they jacked the prices by $20,000, $30,000. The Ram TRX is a perfect example of a truck, 2021 truck. That truck down there I bought used, brand new, it was like 80 and change. That truck today is $120,000 and change. $125. So it's close to $40,000 more just in 3 model years. And if they took 10 or 20 grand off, oh, wow. Hey, you got a hell of a deal, didn't you? And then meanwhile, just so you know, your Ram TRX truck that was $100,000, you'll be lucky to get 70 for it when you trade it in. Yeah. So, yeah, you got the Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, your Inflation Reduction Act was you personally got a reduction in the value of whatever you own when it comes to their car. So, for the pawn side, the city administration has used and abused the car automotive industry to get you to become the green individual by forcing the hand that they want to take away the ICE engine from these vehicles. And it's huge. And it's really happening to the point that Stellantis and Volvo, so many manufacturers out there, Jim Farley of Ford was pounding his fist 2-3 years ago, how all the vehicles are going electric with the exception of maybe a few, blah, 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 blah. The F-150 Lightning truck's the biggest hit in modern, oh my gosh, the pawns of the pawns. And so you can take my channel And you can use me as the guy that got pawned by buying these electric vehicles, because you already know that the $100,000 Lightning truck that I paid for today is worth $40,000. And they don't even want them because of the change in the market, the change what they're bringing to place. And the reality is people aren't buying into the pawn gig, and they don't want them. I mean, that's really not by the masses. I mean, what I'm saying to you is the electric vehicle industry is going to continue to grow, but it's not going to grow at what so many figured it would by using others to be pawned at the expense of you and I to try to, make it move quicker. And it's not working. The thing is, their pawn idea isn't playing out the way they want. So all the big manufacturers are pulling back now. They're pulling back. Why are they pulling back? Well, they're seeing that the demand isn't there like they thought it would be. The infrastructure isn't there to support it like they thought it would be. And, guess what? A guy named Donald Trump is now coming into office that has a whole different view of what an Inflation Reduction Act is versus what the Pawn Act is. It really should have been called the Pawn Act, not the Inflation Reduction Act, because of the government on you and I paying the government our tax monies into the system that then gives the government billions of dollars to hand out to pawn others to come and set up shop here to fall into the pawn of the green agenda to build electric cars, electric batteries, solar panels, semiconductor chips. The list goes on and on and on of what's incredible is the electric vehicle industry was a hot item, a hot talk. So many thought it would explode when in the back end, artificial intelligence is one of the hottest industries in the whole world right now, where that's the whole talk of the town all the time. That's the money. That's the grab, but all artificial intelligence in some ways is being incorporated into all these vehicles. So, there you go. So I thought to myself this morning, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, oh my gosh, if that couldn't be more of a pawn relationship, what is? What isn't? What is? And I was just thinking to myself this morning about how Elon Musk, and let me finish up a little bit about the pawn of electric vehicles, is the electric vehicles aren't they're a huge risk. The electric vehicles, looking at my channel, looking at what I've gone through. If you watched when I first got my 2022 Ford F-150 Lightning truck, and I went to Tennessee and I towed back my motorcycles in this trailer back here. If you really watch my channel, and my daughter was in my other Tremor F-250 truck diesel, you'll see the whole video of me first going down there in the F-150 truck, not being able to barely make it to my mother-in-law's house, because charging stations weren't working properly. Then they were blocked off, and I had to go to a Ford dealer and plug in my F-150 Lightning truck just to be able to make it to my mother-in-law's house. But then you fast forward next week, we come back home, and there's a whole video of me towing a trailer, and this thing can only go about 80 miles before I'm having to look for a charging station. And then there's a whole video of me having to unhook the trailer because I'm not going to make it. And we got to use the F-250 to pull the motorcycle trailer because it's going to take forever for us to get home. So over the road, people argue about this crap, and I'm like, get the hell out of here. You don't know what you're talking about because you have too many variables on traveling with electric charging stations, and it's no cheaper. At the end of the day, you're going to spend as much money or more to buy electricity as you're buying gas in a fuel-efficient vehicle. So what are you accomplishing besides you're on the green agenda thing, you're saving the world? The electric cars are cool. I like them. But when it really comes to over-the-road traveling, they have zero value. You can't forget it. Forget it. And I'm not talking a 200-mile trip. I'm not talking a 300-mile trip. I'm talking 1,000-mile, 2,000, 3,000-mile trips in your electric vehicle. Good luck. Good luck in your adventures. It's going to take you a long time to get wherever you want. And if you're in a hurry, then I get it. Who cares? But if you're the average person who wants to get somewhere, it doesn't work. So now, the pawn of Donald Trump and the pawn of Elon Musk. Wow. I was thinking to myself this morning, well, you really have to just kind of step back. Step back, and you think, did Elon Musk have the vision of really using Twitter in the end to have a grab of power and government oversight? You really have to stop and think to yourself, because you think it through. Here's the place. The daughter loves this vehicle. So here's a perfect example of a younger person that now my daughter's been exposed to how cool this vehicle is, and she does love it. But at the same time, this is more about working out of the vehicle, efficiency. What makes her excited about this is how it's such the easier vehicle to work out of because of its technology versus driving a Mustang manual car around the beltway all day long, shifting, you're having to clutch in, clutch out. So my daughter truly loves this car. And she was against EV vehicles because she just didn't like EV vehicles. So she has come along, and so there's the thing. I think as time goes on, I can't see that this will continue on. I don't think it'll continue at that rapid speed, but I think the transition will continue. So back to Elon Musk. He bought out Twitter, renamed it X. He got a whole control of social media in so many ways. He's pissed off the European Union. He's pissed off Brazil. He's pissed off a lot of people on the left because he's more conservative minded. He may be independent to a degree, but more conservative. And he pissed off a lot of people to the point that a lot of Tesla people left his product because they saw that he really was a more conservative, borderline Donald Trump minded person. And so the pawn so in some ways, you could say that Elon Musk bought Twitter as a pawn. But then you kind of go fast forward to Trump gets through all the drug through the mud for every accusation of him being this terrible person that robs from everybody and then molests everybody and then he colludes with everybody. I mean, so everything you can think of, Donald Trump does, but so why do you like that guy, right? Isn't that what the media tells us all the time? But sure is silent. It just blows me away how you just never hear anything about Barack Obama. I mean, I've never heard any dirt on Barack Obama. Have you ever? It's amazing how Barack Obama is the cleanest sitting former president that's ever been in office. Has anybody ever heard any dirt on Barack Obama? I never have. Every other president, I have heard dirt. I mean, Biden, dirt all over the place. Bush. I mean, you can go through the list. Bill Clinton. I mean, come on. Just start going through the list of the presidencies that have been in, there's dirt on them all day long. Huh, that's very interesting, isn't it? Somebody help me out on that one, would you? So for Elon Musk, he uses Twitter as a pawn to push a movement to favor Trump. Yes. So is this a driving force that he knew the next election would probably be the pick of, because we knew a lot of things are going on in court that we didn't know if Trump would even get to be run as a presidential opponent because of all the dirt being put on him, trying to throw him in jail. So, which is ongoing. So you have to say to yourself, wow, did Elon Musk has the fortitude to say, hey, I'm going to be able to help this guy Trump get in office because I like his views and ideas more than I do the other party that I used to support, that I'm now seeing through the cloud and smoke and the curtains and the perceptions, masters of deception, that now I think I would rather have Mr. Trump in office because I think I can get something out of it. At the same time, for Donald Trump, he's probably looking at Musk that he's a pawn for him. Because if Elon Musk really can amp up first of all, the donations. Elon Musk gave him $200 million. Secondly, his social media presence of pushing Donald Trump. Thirdly, Elon Musk then literally goes to rallies to push Trump. So Trump now sees Musk as a huge pawn to advance his potential to be a president again. What is it, the 47th or 48th president of this country? And so they both are playing off each other as a pawn because Trump's already agreed to let Elon Musk come into the government, the doggy, to come in and clean up the government over expenditures and clean up what's real, what's not, and try to make it a more efficient government, but also to give him powers to possibly make the movement of autonomous driving and artificial intelligence incorporated these vehicles to maybe move along faster than it's been going because he now has government power and government oversight to help rewrite the laws and rules that'll help him sell cars and help sell his autonomous driving vehicles and his robotaxi. And meanwhile, even Elon Musk, so here's another thing that's going on, the pawn for the consumers has been you get a $7,500 tax credit, which I've been gifted on vehicles, not the black Lightning truck, because I was the second purchaser. So I made a mistake. In some ways, I shouldn't have bought that used Lightning. I should have bought a new one because I lost the $7,500 tax credit that goes to the first purchaser, not the second. So, stepping back, but in the end, maybe this thing's going to be lemoned, and there you go. I got me out of that stupid-ass vehicle that doesn't have any value. Knock on wood, the white truck so far has been pretty good for the most part. It did have to go in for a major service. There's something going on with it, but they fixed it, and Brian, who drives it all the time, says it seems to be more efficient, but who knows about that. So for Elon Musk, he doesn't like the pawn either. Donald Trump doesn't like this pawn of us taxpayers paying people to buy electric cars. And that's the gig, that to pawn you to buy an electric car, you're told, oh, by the way, you get a $7,500 tax deduction. Now, just so you know, in 2022, you didn't get the tax deduction off the price of the car. You got to claim it on your taxes. But then in 2023 or going into 2024, I think it was 2024, then they made it where the dealership could just take the $7,500 tax credit. I think it was 2023, if I'm correct. I can't remember, but they make it now where the dealership can give you that tax credit immediately, and you don't have to wait to file on your taxes to get the $7,500 tax credit off your taxes. For me, one time I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. We had the Mach-E, had two Mach-E's, which that was worth $3,750 each. That's $7,500. Then I had my other vehicle. I basically had like close to, I had $14,000 in tax credits of just on tax deductions for owning vehicles. But now, once again, they take it right off the price of the car. But here's the gig. Trump wants to eliminate that. Trump wants to take that away. He thinks it's a foolish amount of money being spent at the taxpayers' own expense, and he wants to remove it. And Elon Musk doesn't object to it. He actually likes that. Elon Musk feels like he can build a more efficient, a more priced car without having to go for the tax rebates to move them. And I think Elon Musk is more on the page that he'll be able to sell you on the autonomous cyber cab, whatever they call that new car he brought out, that he'll sell you more on having in certain areas of the country, definitely the cities, suburban areas, that he'll have the technology that'll be approved by the sitting states and ordinances that you can sit in a car now and it'll drive you around. And that's why I think that, once again, you step back, Elon Musk just mastered possibly to give him control like never seen in the automotive end, the artificial intelligence, the autonomous, the Optimus. You can go through all the things that he's so heavily involved in with technology, and you would say to yourself, did he just master the biggest pawn in modern times? Because now he controls the social media. Now he's going to be having government control. He's going to have the automotive infrastructure in control. He's going to have the artificial intelligence infrastructure control. He's diligently working on the robotics side of control. So it's really, he has a Starlink. So it's incredible of what Elon Musk is doing. And once again, the pawn, it's you're used by others to for them to gain what they want. And so anyways, that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. I know, these long conversations just get too long. And I think people just the 30-minute conversation I think is perfect. So that's my goal. 30-minute conversation is not 45-minute hour conversation, just too long. So that's what I'm going to do. That's it. It's upon conversations, weigh in your thoughts and ideas. Let me know what you think. And this week, for me, hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to be pulling out of here possibly to go to Florida and take the puppies. And one reason I want to get down there sooner than later is because the dogs are very small and they're manageable right now. We go another month, that's going to start changing. 2 months, starts changing. We took Kiefer down, he's a very small puppy, but then we couldn't take him down anymore. When he got bigger, he was too high output. It was too risky, and that's where in the beginning of the conversation, we had to hand him off to Amanda, and that's now where he was with Amanda for like close to a month of being in training and boarding with her. And that's where I think the whole, and it's not me accusing Amanda or anybody, but it's the whole thing is, that's where I think the whole loss of what he's being vaccinated with and what he wasn't got all screwed up. So that's it, everybody. Hey, thanks so much for watching my channel. Hope everybody has a blessed day, and God bless.